Howdy, y'all. Weekly reflections and insights coming to you this week and talking about the power of language and the need for precision when we choose our words and our terms in our communication. Without clarity in our words, our language, there is not going to be any meaningful ability to create a strategy or make progress towards goals. If we're not clear on where we are, where we're trying to go, or how we're going to get there, if members of a team can't get on the same page because terms are ambiguous or subjective, nothing positive happens. No growth occurs, no progress occurs, because instead of deploying our time, talent, and treasure towards problems, towards our goals, instead, we just create this source of tremendous waste, spinning our wheels, arguing, and eventually winding up at each other's throats about what does this word mean, and your definition is wrong, and my definition is correct. And what is happening to our language as a result is words have lost their power and their meaning. They're clearly defined terms, and as such, it's wasteful, and it's anger and fear that pushes to the forefront rather than clarity and meaningful progress. And I can't not think that this is intentional. Language being chosen to stoke anger and fear, media and politicians that choose words that trigger you, but this is intentional, and it's not just a sort of throwaway term. This whole triggering concept, what it really is typically is your amygdala lighting up and putting you into that fight or flight response. And this is intentional because when that happens, your rational thinking, your critical thinking, it all goes out the window and you end up in this reactive posture. And what happens then? You default to whatever programming is there. It's your own programming or that of some third party. And so again, this is intentional. Things like renewable energy. There's nothing renewable about it. Our Supreme Court justice who cannot define what a woman is, despite the high level of precision required to obtain a law degree and pass the bar. Again, this is intentional because while we fight over what all this nonsense is and how to redefine all these terms to somehow accommodate people, the status quo remains the same. Or even worse, you're getting fleeced and you don't know it because you're over here fighting over stupid shit. But this is the war on language. This is intentional. This is why there's no big deal that 18-year-olds are graduating with 6th grade reading levels. They're very malleable. You can't really read. You don't understand how to unpack language and how to see the red flags when people are trying to manipulate you or trying to steer you towards a particularly predetermined outcome. You become a sheep. So think about this for a moment. Think about the level of censorship that has now come out from the government the last several years. My personal favorite, malinformation. This is censored information that, while true, the government wants to squash because it will make the government look bad or incompetent. True information that will make the government look bad, that the government then censors. I don't think many of us, other than maybe Orwell or Huxley, thought that we'd wind up here, but here we are. So, the power of language and the need for clearly defined terms. Be mindful. Expand your vocabulary. Crack some books. And if somebody uses a term that you're not clear on, or it might be a little ambiguous, pause. Ask them, what do you mean by that? Define that for me. In your own writing, in your own speech, if you need to define a term up front to remove any shred of ambiguity, do it. Because this war on language, this highly subjective nonsense about, well, it means this to me. No, we have to agree on the definition of words because without that, we can't communicate. Without communication, there is no progress. And without progress, we have stagnation. And I think that probably describes the state of the Western world at the moment. So pick a side. You gotta fight the war on language. You're either with the censors or you're with the free speech folks. There's really no in between. Fight the war on language. Starts with us. Peace.